Okay, so first stage takes control from the post and passes to stage 2. Okay, and then stage 2 is the bootloader. So MBR has bootloader. So it's not the first thing it has. It has a bootloader as a secondary thing. Okay, and bootloader stage 2 is sitting on /boot. Okay, and it loads the grub. What is grub? Grub is short for Grand Unified Bootloader. That means it will find the operating system and load it into the memory. Okay, that's all it is. Right now, if you have like a Windows operating system, you're using it, right? It is sitting on the hard drive. That is into the rest stage. The entire operating system need to load into the memory for it to be usable. Okay, did you get it? The operating system need to be loaded, brought on to the working table. So think of you are in like a workshop, right? You are doing some kind of building something, like you're building a chair. You are a woodworker and you're building a chair, right? So you have something in your workshop like a wood, and you want to put it together and work on a workspace. So you have to load that into the workspace. So you bring your wood, all the tools and all that. You need to have some space to work on. That space is a memory. Okay, so now it finds the operating system and it loads into the memory, and it loads grub. Okay, so what is grub? If you go back here to our password recovery here, I told you this is a grub menu here. Earlier, 2 weeks ago, when you are getting a menu here, you get like 1, 2, 3 options. I will talk about this when we do updates. But this is the latest one it has. So this is the working grub, and this is the image of the grub, and this is the backup. Okay, so what happens is bootloader now loads VM lineage and this number here. So whatever that number is showing up here, but the number over here is different because we worked on the different version here. So number doesn't matter here. All it matters is the VM lineage here. Over here, you will see the full name here, VM lineage, and then the number and all that. Okay, so it loads that, and also at the same time there is a file name init rmfs. Okay, it extracts that file. It sits there in like an image, but it extracts it, okay, into the boot. And what does VM lineage has? VM lineage has a kernel file in it. That means it's a seed of an operating system. It loads from RMFS. Now, once this the step 7 happens. The kernel kickstarts the systemd. Okay, systemd is a Red Hat 7 process. Okay, now this is a real operating system coming up to the life. Now when the systemd process is in control, it reads the configuration file. Remember, we had problem with etcfs tab file. When you reboot it, the system was going into the emergency mode. Why? Because some files in the etcfs tab were missing. Okay, that's the reason it goes in there. While there, it also reads the run level and all that, all the configuration files, and it will bring the system back up. At this point, when this is done, then you are ready to log into the system here. So all this process happens in about a minute or two, whatever. Okay, so this is just informational. I wouldn't say you sweat about this. It's very easy peasy. Okay, so today I'm gonna work on, we'll work on doing the SCP. SCP. This stands for secure copy. Okay, so what is secure copy here? So I'm gonna just make a statement here. SCP is used for copying files and folders over the network to another host. I think this is a good copy here, so we'll just copy this. Okay, so let's take a look here. So I have two servers here. Everybody have two servers, right? Make sure you do ls here, and let's create a blank file wherever you are logged in as Zafar or root, whatever, and create a file. I'm going to create a blank file to transfer over the network. Okay, you could use the dd command. dd equals input equals /dev 0, output equals, output file equals, I'm going to give name of the file is like Zafar1, and byte size equals 1 megabytes. Okay, and I'll hit enter. What it does is it will create a file with a size 1 megabytes. What? Oh god, it created a file size about 1 MB. Let's do this. Let's do the byte size equals 1024. Okay, 1024 is 1 MB. Why is it taking so long? No, I don't want. Okay, let's get over it. Let's do this here. I'm gonna do touch file 1, okay? And I'm gonna do ls here. So I have a file name touch file 1, right? So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna identify the server I'm gonna copy it to. So I'm gonna go to my second server. From first server, we are copying the file from first server to my one of the other servers here. So one of my other servers is 185. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna do scp file 1, and then I'm gonna give the IP address of the server, and now you have to give the destination folder. You could do like root, or you could do /temp. Most of the time you're doing this for an application team, and what they do is they want a file to be copied from one server to another server, and they don't have rights to do that. They don't have access to do that. So you identify the file, and then you could do this here, scp file 1. And if you want, you could give connecting to the other server, you could do Zafar at the IP address here, and then when you hit enter. So what is happening here? Like there are several things happening. Give me just a moment here. Okay, so what you have here is, this is the command. This is the source. And this is the server, destination server. And this is the directory on that specific server. Okay, so we have a source, file name, and actually the source is the file location. So you could put down the entire the path, either the uh, relative path or absolute path here. Okay. All right. So now what I'm going to do is, let me copy this here. Okay, so let me just put this in here. Okay. I'm going to hit enter, and oh, the server is down. Yeah, the server is down. Why? Why does the server keep going down? So probably your passwordless is set up. It should never ask you. Like here, if I'm going to hit enter, it should never ask me for the password. Uh-oh. It is. So, okay, see, the file got copied. Now, if you go to that server on a separate window, party session. Oh, you can do it from here, right? So let me go to duplicate.
Without just transferred the 500%, it says.
Good.
It didn't even ask the password.
Yeah, because the passwordless was set up, right? It's using that.
I just removed my name.
Yeah.
I just gave.
Yeah, that's
IP
fine
address.
too. That's fine.
Okay.
The reason it's doing that is because the SSH is. Remember the whole reason for you to go set up the passwordless. We set up passwordless, right? SSH. We set up passwordless here, right? The reason we did here is we don't have a nuisance of copying this, nuisance of putting a password each time you connect to the server. You're connecting to hundreds of servers and you don't have to worry about putting in the password. So I'm on my server 3. I'm going to clear it and I'm going to go to /temp folder. And if I do ls here, I have my file here, okay? Similarly, if I want to put this into a different location, like /home/Zafar, and if I want to do that, that is possible too. Look at that, it copied it without any problem. So if I go in there /home/Zafar, and if you see there, it's there, file 1. Okay, so this is just same as copying cp command, source, destination. Any questions?
Nope, we are good.
Okay, so what about the copying the file? But before that, I want to show you something else. So what will happen is, uh, so I'm gonna clear the screen, and okay, I'm gonna clear the screen here, right? If I do ls here, -l, okay, and so if you go into, this is very copied, like /home/Zafar. I'm there. If I do ls-l, and I have the file number here, file Zafar, and can somebody take a look here and tell me what is the difference? Okay, this is the file, this is the same exact file we copied here, but there is a significant difference here. Can somebody tell me, looking at it?
The time difference?
Yeah, very good. The time stamp is wrong here, so there is a big problem if you're copying a file and then it has a different uh, it has a different timestamp, so that will throw off some calculations. So what you want to do is, you want to let me remove this from here. So what you want to do is, you want to add a switch in there, bring the line back up, and what you have to do is, you have to do -p. When you do -p, it will, what it's doing is, you're saying it to preserve the permissions. Okay, so now it should be October 24th, 11:37. So let's take a look here. There you go. October 24th, 11:37. Okay, so this is really important here. So going forward, use this command here, scp, and when you use this command, it will preserve the is also preserve the permissions, the timestamps, and everything. Okay, so
Which command is it, brother? Can you repeat one more time?
-P.
Oh, that's it. Okay.
SCP space -P, the source and the destination. So when you do that, this will preserve timestamp, permissions. Okay, it will preserve the timestamp and permission, but it will not preserve the ownership, I think. Let's see here. Yeah, it will not change the ownership here. Once you go over there, then you could change the ownership. All right, now what if you have like a folder? And if I go into folder and then I have about 100 files in there, right? Oh.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
See, I get a brain freeze now and then. So what it is you don't have to worry about remembering everything. All you have to do is just have a sense what you're doing. So I mean, it's pretty easy, Linux and all that, and you'll do mistakes all the time, but it's not like you have to remember everything, so it's nice and easy. So what you do is mkdir folder 1, and let me go into folder 1, and then I'm going to do touch file $, and then I'm going to do squiggly. Oops. Touch file $, and squiggly. If I do 1, 2 dots, and then I go like 10 here, so it will create 10 lines in there. What?
I don't think you're supposed to put the $sign there, Mr. Zafar.
No?
No, it works without the $sign.
How is it gonna work then? Let's see. Yeah, it did. Very good. Okay, so you clear this, you go out of that. So what you could do is, now you do SCP hyphen R is for folders here. You have to use R, it means recursively. P, preserve, and you could do the folder, or you could do like the full absolute path. Let's do the absolute path, and then the path to the server here. Oh, it's gone already. So I'm gonna do 10.0. What is the IP here? Okay, IPA 228. Okay, and then I want to put this in which folder I want to put it in. I want to put it in temp, or I want to put it in just home/home. Okay, and I may not have permissions as a user Zafar there, so let's just put it in the place Zafar. So what just happened is it copied the entire folder to that location here. So if we go here and if we do clear ls-l, and you have a folder Zafar with all the contents in it.
Mr. Zafar, would it have let you put something in the root folder as a regular user?
It probably will
Let's say
ask you
you.
for the password or something. So let's do that.
Okay.
You have to go in there as a root. It will ask you for the Zafar password. It may not give you the permission. So you want to put it in root like this, or just slash.
Either or. I just want to see if it will work. If it will. Okay.
Permission denied. So what you have to do is you have to do like root at, and then it will
Okay.
ask for the root password now.
Okay.
Now it will do it.
All right. That makes sense.
Well,
Thank you.
you be copying as root anyway, so you will have full permissions on the source server and the destination server.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay, so that is all there for SCP. Let's move on and let's do. Um,
Mr. Zafar, can you only copy one at a time, or can you do like multiple directories? Does it let you do multiple full files or directories at the same time, or it has to be one at a time?
yeah, it does one at a time.
One at a
Unless
time. Okay.
unless you run like two different sessions, then it would do
Okay.
it.
Okay. Perfect.
Okay, 10, 24, 20, 21. So here's a new topic here. What we're going to do is um, software download. And system updates. Okay, so this is actually called patching and all that. So it's really important. And if you're working in a huge, big environment, the patching is done by a different team. Usually, like for example, you have working for JP Morgan, right? What they'll do is the patch, they have so many servers, thousands and thousands. So what they do is patching is also a big task in itself, and usually it's done by offshore team in India, or usually it's outsourced to third party. Even IBM or something. What they do is they'll do the patching and all that for you. But I'm gonna show you how that works also.
And
So
also, Mr. Zafar, patching is usually done after hours, right? Not during work hours.
no, never
Yep.
during work hours, because the system is gonna crash. And also all these updates and all those, there is a change freeze during Christmas time. There is 2 weeks before and 1 week into the Christmas time, there is freeze, because obviously there are holidays and a lot of people try to take those days off and all that. So what big companies are doing, they're just putting the freeze in it, so that you don't
Yep.
have to
Amazon
worry.
actually does a thing called Black Day. Like if something is about to like go down, they don't let anybody even into the server rooms or do any updates or anything
Yeah,
in case the system crashes. So when I
yeah.
was in the data center, they had like a specific day. They would call it a Black Day where nobody would get on the computers. It would just people would just do like handiwork like that they can do without the computers.
Yeah, big companies do that because they want to see if the system is going to be reliable on its own.
Yep.
So yeah, that happens. And when they're launching the product, like big announcement, like banks usually do like a profit call. When they're doing the profit call, they don't want anything to go down, so they have like freezes. When I used to work for Apple, they used to have whenever the new product is launched, a day before and day after the product is launched, there is freeze. You just sit around and do nothing. You can't even touch the production dev boxes either. Just clean up emails. You just sit there and do clean up emails. That's all I do. Okay, so now because what will happen is a lot of things happen here. When you install something on a system, the system is not the same system anymore. It changed. Okay, so what you might want to do is, so the very first thing is you have a requirement to install something, right? For example, so install software. Usually software, we don't call, in Linux environment, we don't call it software, we call it a package. So I'm going to install a software called Firefox. Okay,
Mr. Zafar, do we do this through PuTTY or do we have to do this through VirtualBox?
no, you do it through PuTTY.
Okay.
So connect to one of your server and then you do clear. And what you do is you go like, if somebody tells you I need to install this, before you even do, you do which Firefox. And if you don't get any answer, if you get an answer like this, that means Firefox is not installed. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do before that I'm going to do, okay, I'm going to, so this is a new command you're going to learn. It's called yum. Before you install anything, you want to check if the software is available and what version it is. Okay, so you type yum provides Firefox, just simple as that, and hit enter. What is going to happen here is going to go online and hit the repository. Okay, so I'll show you where the connection it's making.
Mr. Zafar, we can do this as a regular user or we have to be root?
Now you have to be root.
Okay.
So here it went onto the website and it found so many versions here, EL 78 and all that. What the system does is when you install it, it always installs the latest version. So I'm going to clear this, and the command to install is yum install Firefox. And what it does is it will install the latest version, unless you go on and copy this and say, okay, you see the difference here, 78.14 and this is 78.13. It will install the latest version here. So when you do yum install and hit Firefox, and it says you need to do a root perform, so you have to switch to root. Okay, so now yum installs Firefox. So what you do is you do which Okay, this tells you that the Firefox is not installed. Now what we're going to do is to check the Firefox is available. So what you're going to do is you're going to do yum provides PROVIDES Firefox, okay, and hit enter. So what I did was I opened a duplicate session here, right? So what server this is hitting? It's going online, and it's hitting into is going into this folder here. CD etc is a configuration file. yum.repo.d. Okay, so you go into this folder, and if you do ls-l, these are the configuration file, the repository files where to go search for it. So I don't know about all this here. Most of the time, don't worry about it. Just worry about this file here. If you do this file vi, okay, so this file is, so this it has like what is important here is it has this information, and this is just the name, and this is the location is going into mirror list CentOS.org, and then it's going in this URL and checking and getting you the information here. So let's go there and see what happens. Okay, so let's see here. Actually, what is happening here is in the background, it's actually going into this server from the server here, and it's providing the key here. We are not able to see that in the browser because this URL is not browser friendly.
Mr. Zafar, what if you tried this base URL equals? Maybe that one is browser friendly.
This one?
Yeah.
Let's do that. Let's comment it out. So let's see here if it's gonna work. So what happens is it goes to this URL, and then it will check for the key, and then it will provide the key here. It's automatically happening in the background here, but we are not able to see it. Yeah. So it says in the browser, it says 404, but it is coming in here to CentOS website. See? All these directories are there. We have all the way from Red Hat 2 to all the way to Red Hat 8 are all the versions are sitting here. It's all for free for you to download and play around with it. Okay, so this is CentOS 7, 7.1, and all these are the release dates. Okay, so most of the time, this information is pre-configured for you. Okay, so you don't have to worry about it. All right, so let's concentrate here. Let me actually go there and copy the URL, or not the URL, but the directory. Okay, so check if it's available, right? So it's gonna do this. So what we'll do is yum provides Firefox and it will bring you all the listing of Firefox here. It's going up all the way to 68, all the way from 68 to 78, all the previous versions here. So this command will provide you the versions, different versions of Firefox. Most of the time it's a good idea to install the latest version. Okay, and this is the configuration file. Configuration file used by yum to connect to server and install. So it's going into the server, connecting to the foreign server, and it's making a connection and installing it from there. Okay, so if I do yum install Firefox, and hit enter, right? Okay, what it's gonna do is it will go through all these checks here, and it will calculate which one is the latest one, and it will give you the information here. Okay, so okay, now you are, so what it does is it did a lot of complex steps here when you did yum install. When you did yum install Firefox here, so it ran up in this location here to the repository, that's what it's called, and it did a great amount of research here. So it went in there, and then at the same time it's calculating what is installed on your server and what it will take, or the dependencies it need for your server to have a functional Firefox. Okay, so why is it doing that? Because it's a beauty of yum that it automatically tests, see what's already installed and what are the dependencies you need to install. So what it says is we need to install Firefox. Okay, so what is dependencies? So you have a laptop, you have an iPhone, right? But what are the iPhone has dependencies? Anybody could tell me what are the other dependencies the iPhone for a functional iPhone for you to be working?
The operating system, I guess.
Yeah, and what are the
The
other?
the memory.
No, not inside the phone, outside the phone. What else it needs?
Oh, internet. It needs a connection.
Yeah, you need service. You need a power code, right? You need to
Yep.
be charged often, and the tower service, T-Mobile or whatever, all those things. So just think of these are dependencies, okay? And these are very small dependencies it needs. So what it does is it will install one package, but it has 81 dependencies. And then at the same time, some of the packages are already installed, but they are old. So it will take this opportunity to go ahead and upgrade this. Upgrade the dependencies which are already installed on the system, okay? So what you do is you do yes and hit enter. So it gave you information 37 so 37 megabytes, 137 megabytes is going to install, and you're going to say is this okay, yes or no, and hit enter. So this is 37 megabytes, and this is yes, and it's doing the upgrade of the existing packages, dependent packages, and it's installing one package. But for one package to be functional, it needs 81 other packages to be installed or upgraded and available before it does all that. So now we are going to wait for here to complete here. This should complete very soon.
What do you mean by yum?
There's just a command here. This is a command invented by Red Hat. You have to use yum, Y-U-M. It stands for Yellow Dog Packet Manager, YUM. Okay, so for now we are not into that deep there, so we don't have. We just the command. We think that of as a command. Okay. So what it did was it installed, it cleaned, it gave you the summary and all that. All this thing is happening here. I mean, how easy this is to install here, okay? Is much easier. You don't have to go through the prompts, yes, no. Like in Windows, I'm sure guys might have went through installing something like a USB drive or a Microsoft Office or something. You have to sit there and say yes, no, and all that, right? Over here, it doesn't happen. You don't need to do that. But if you do like this, yum install, then -y, a switch, you don't even have to sit there and do y there. Okay? Now, This is installed. Okay, this is complete, right? Install Firefox. Now, if you do which Firefox, so this is installed, and if you want to see the much more detailed here, you do RPM -QA. So this is a command, it will tell you all the packages are installed on the system. All these things are installed on your system here. Let's do WC. You have 394 packages installed on your system here. So, but we are interested in Firefox. So I'm going to do grep Firefox, and it will tell you exactly what it is. This Firefox is installed, and this is the Firefox version which is installed on the system here. Provides the version information. Okay, let's do that. All right, if you want to get rid of Firefox, what you want to do is pretty simple. Yum remove Firefox. That's it. And it will give you a confirmation also, yes or no. What you have to do is, if you don't want to sit there and do that, you do if you do yum remove -y, it won't even ask you for the confirmation. It will just delete it for you. Okay, just watch. There you go. It automatically took Y and then it removed it for you. Removed. All right, pretty simple here. Anything else? Anybody think of any software you think you want to install?
Does it let you install like the whole Microsoft Office packages?
Normally you don't use that, but I'm not sure if Office is available for Linux.
So also I want to install Ubuntu. Is that possible?
No, Ubuntu is a different operating system. You can't do that.
Okay.
Mr. Zafar, the stuff that we're installing these softwares in right now, the packages, we don't have the GUI version in this server. So
No.
would it even be a point to install that stuff?
No,
Would we be able to use it?
no. That's
So
true.
it's just taking up space, right? It's just a file that we're creating.
It's just
For
this
demonstration
was just a
purposes?
demonstration. So normally, what
Okay.
you would install is, you would install like the application, like IBM database and all that. Those things
Okay, okay.
you would get information how to install and all that.
Okay. And also, Mr. Zafar, while you were on Google right now, I saw it said Apache. Are you going to explain anything about Apache? Because I've heard a lot about it, but I just don't know what it is.
Yeah, this is Apache server here. That would be the engineer level. I'll give you documents regarding this. Okay.
Okay, thank you. I wanted to just learn about it.
Yeah. Might as well go to this site here because I was teaching the engineer level website OCT 20. Okay, it's not loading. I'll put it. I'll put that on later in the chat. Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. Now the main thing you are worried about is keeping the system updated, right? So what you want to do is you want to do the system-wide updates. So what you normally do is yum, not yum. So you do system-wide updates. So what you're doing is you're updating the whole system. So I'm going to clear this. Before that, this will require a reboot. So make sure you don't have anything in etcfs tab that will hamper the system from coming back up. Take out all the LVMs in there. So what we're going to do is we're going to update the kernel first. If you do host name ctl and hit enter, it gives you the host name is this Zafar01 and zmpt.com, and this is the computer icon name. This is a chassis as a VMware. This is the alphanumeric machine ID. This is the boot ID, and I'm using a virtualization KVM, kernel virtual machine. Operating system is Linux, CentOS Linux 7, and um, you know, what is this? I don't even know what this is, and this is very important here, kernel. Okay, this is the existing kernel. That means this is a seed and it has a code in it. It needs to get updated quite often. So right now, we have like CentOS 7.0 and all the way to 9. But this one, I think we are sitting on 7.8. And let me go back here. I'm going to go into Google. So I'm going to do kernel version and okay, so list of kernels. So this is important actually. Oh, I thought it would have all the list compiled here. Okay, look here. So we are like 2 kernel versions behind. We are on 1062. How do you know that? Over here you see 1062.
When I'm doing cd/etc/fstab, it's not showing me the kernel.
No, don't do cd cat, not cd cat. No, for kernel do hostname ctl. So this is where we are, and this is where we're gonna be. Okay, so everybody go ahead and do this on the server. This is gonna crash, I'm not sure. So everybody, let's do yum update yum update and hit enter. Okay, don't push -y yet. Okay, so what it'll do is it will install 2 packages dependent, and it will say upgrade 57 packages. Okay, so let me copy this part here. Okay, so you got to look carefully here, right? So what is it saying is it's going to update, install 2 packages which are not already on the system here, and it's going to upgrade 57 packages. So there are a lot of things we are sitting on which is old. We need to update here. So updates are really important because of the security vulnerability. You need to keep things updated here. So one specific thing I'm looking in here is the kernel. Okay. Okay.
You just passed it, Mr. Zafar.
Yeah.
It was kernel. If you go a little bit below, go back down. I saw it.
Right here.
There it is. Yep. Yep.
Okay. So yeah, this is the kernel that it will be updated to, and it's only 8 megabytes here. So what will happen is when we do when we do hostname CTL, instead of we did hostname CTL, so it was this one, and it's gonna upgrade to 1160, and I'm gonna explain you what 3 point, 10 point, and all this here in a minute here. Actually, we'll take a break here because this is gonna take here. So you do yum update, and then when it comes here, just do Y and hit enter. Okay, and let's go ahead and take a 20-minute break here. Okay. All right, break starts now. Okay, I'm back here. So the system updates is done. And now if you do host name CTL, okay, so you still see the kernel is not updated, right? So what you need to do is you need to restart the server. And it says the kernel, the important thing is it installed and updated the kernel also. So everybody go ahead and restart your server. All you do is init6 and hit enter. Okay, and I'll wait for it to come back up, maybe 2 minutes. Okay, let me connect back. Okay, and I'm gonna do switch to root. And I'm gonna do hostname CTL. And now you see the kernel is updated now. Okay, updating a kernel is a very important task because it will actually you will update to a different version of operating system. Okay, and it is a security update. So let's take a look here. You could do uname -r also just to see the kernel update. So the kernel is updated now.
Professor,
Yeah.
so I did everything, but I have the same version, 106, 1062.
Restart the system.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
How do you restart?
Init 6, INIT space 6. Or you just type reboot and hit enter. It will do the same thing. So let's take a look at the kernel. Okay, so the kernel we have here is this here, right? Kernel version. I'm gonna break this down here, okay? And
Mine says connection to
yeah,
this server is closed by remote host.
yeah, yes, fine. Just wait for 2 minutes and connect again, okay?
Okay.
One,
Mr. Zafar, in a regular work environment, before we restart servers or like do anything like that, do we have to like touch base with the whole team before we do something
yeah,
like that?
very good question. Very good question. So all these things you can do it randomly, okay? You're gonna get fired. Don't do
Yep.
that.
Okay.
Usually this is done under change request.
Okay.
Change is set up, so usually a change is set up like a 2 weeks in advance, and you open like ServiceNow. There is a system, you go in there and you open the request. It goes to your manager. From there it goes to the application manager. He approves it. A lot is usually 10-15 people look at it, what is actually happening. And in the change request notes you put in I'm updating the kernel from this version to this version, and the justification and all that. You will get this training on site, on job, when you do this. And these are the things you have to do. And application teams are, oh, you could update like these 10 servers, which you cannot update the other 10 servers because it's running the old version and we cannot afford to update it. So then you have to go back and forth and resolve those issues. Okay?
Okay.
So
And you use ServiceNow as your ticketing system?
yeah, ServiceNow. Most of the
Okay.
places is
Okay.
ServiceNow.
Okay. Okay. I've used them before.
Yeah.
What's up? Basically, how often we do the how often we update the system in reality?
It depends. If you end up getting a job in the um, end up a job for the updates and all that update team, then you will do it every day. Thousands of
Oh,
servers, you do it every day. So you schedule it like a chunk every day, like couple hundred servers each day, and then you do it. But if you are onto a different team who's doing like building the servers and all that, then you would end up doing you probably don't do this kernel updates and all that quite often. You do it very less frequently.
okay, thank you.
Okay, so let's break this down here and what is all these numbers means, right? So first item it says is a major version, and it starts with 3. Okay, after that 10 is a major release, and after that is 0, right, is a patch. Okay, and next is a next is Red Hat specific. So this is 1160. So this is Red Hat specific. Okay, and next is 45, right? No, this is a Red Hat specific is this part here, dot 45.1, and EL 7 means the Linux version. This is Linux version is any other Linux. Any other Linux including Ubuntu and all those, if they're running off this, it's that version here. So if you are only using Red Hat Linux, this will work, this will change. If you're using a Ubuntu, this will change. SUSE and all that. We'll take a look here. I'm gonna do a Google search here. Okay, and the last one is 64-bit architecture. On x86_64. Major version is major version, major release, and all these patches. All these things are Red Hat, not Red Hat. All these things are coming from Linux Foundation. The open source foundation is this one here, and this part too. Okay. So let's take a look here. So we have Red Hat 7 versions here, right? And 8 also. So right now let's do SUSE kernel version. Three point 3.10.0, right? Okay, let's see here. Linux 8. It's not showing here. Three point.
Mr. Zafar, are SUSE and Fedora used often, or is mostly Red Hat?
Red Hat is most dominating.
Okay.
Because with Red Hat you have to pay for the support.
Yep.
SUSE is there very little, and Fedora is there. So let's compare with the Oracle. Okay. Okay, so even Oracle, look at this part here. They are using 3.1.0 1160, and it says a Red Hat compatible kernel. Okay, so this is the wrong information here. So let me search. Okay, so let's look at the 7.9. Oh, it's not showing that. This guy doesn't bring up good results. That's why you go to Google. Where is the download here? Linux. I'm trying to look for the version. I'm not getting good information. Okay, let's see what we have here. Okay, OEL 6, OEL 7, OEL 7.9. Okay, here. This is OEL 7.9 and it's using 3.10.1160. Okay, this is the same thing as what we got here. 3.10.0. Do they have a 0 there? Yeah. And 1160 is the similar one here, but 1160.45.1 is for Red Hat. And for them, they don't have it, I think. They just have it 1160. Okay, so pretty much all these versions, they get like a same copy and they work off of it and enhance it to work a little better and customize to the operating system they're releasing. So the major player is Red Hat. If you download this version, and then run the commands what you did today, it's all the same. There is no difference. There is barely going to be difference between what you have learned and if you download and start using this, there is no difference in it. Okay, so but I would suggest stick with Red Hat. As long as you know Red Hat, you will be good enough for it. So now another question is sometimes the system updates. It's not, I said earlier, like the team, they don't want system updates. All they want is just they want the kernel to be updated here. What are you going to do? In that situation, what you're going to do is you're going to do only the kernel update. Kernel only update. Okay, so what I'm going to do is let's connect to the server which is not updated and we're going to do only the kernel update. So I'm going to go to my third server. So I'm going to go to my third server, 228. Okay. Alright, I'm logged in there, and if I do host name CTL, and you see it has the old kernel version. Right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to only update the kernel. Okay, so what you do is you clear the screen and you sudo to root yum list available kernel and hit enter. So what it does is it will check and then it will bring this result back to you. And this is the available kernel for this system right now.
Mr. Zafar, I have a quick question.
Yeah.
In the Linux environment, like when you're working day to day on the day-to-day basis, it doesn't give you like a message when you're logging in or logging out that there's updates available, just like when you're in Windows. Like a little icon pops up at the right saying updates available.
Nope, it doesn't.
So you have to go physically check yourself.
Yeah, you have
Okay.
to physically look for updates here.
Okay.
One of the reason it's not doing it is a lot of Windows update is related to the graphical environment. Okay, and the footprint of the Windows operating system is bigger than the Linux, and so based on that, since there is no GUI, the updates are small for it because the chances of mismatching these things around and the files update is less, so you don't have to worry about too many big updates here. And sometimes Linux could still be you could still download like Linux 6 and still be using it, but still as good as what it is, but the new versions won't work. If you want to install old versions, you could do that. So in Linux, you could go without updating the kernel and the security updates. You still be good here as long as you're not doing any other updates which require updated um, updated versions of software you're downloading. So, for example, if you're installing, the Firefox, more than likely it will still work. The latest version will still work on Firefox 6. I'm sorry, Red Hat 6. You could try downloading and do that experiment and see what happens. Okay, but then again, there will be a time when you really need to get off the old version and start using the new version. So right now at my job, everything is still stuck at 7.6 or 7.8. We are not even at 7.9, let alone 8. And 8 is out, Red Hat 8 is out for 2 years now, and we're not even thinking looking that far. Because it's going to be an expense for the big company to update something. Because they have to have a schedule, time, and people to do all that. Now, sometimes they even have to rewrite the code on the application side. So you may not want to do that. And if the application is going to expire, the life cycle of the application is going to be gone in like couple years, then might as well not update it. Just sit there and use the existing application rather than doing it. So when it's time to rebuild the application again, they're going to get onto the latest version of operating system available by then. So if by then, if Red Hat 8.6 is already there, then they will use that. So that's how it works. So the updates comes way faster than the big companies are willing to update, but the operating system vendors, they do the updates anyway. Sometimes they come a new update twice a year, but usually one update a year, major update a year they will do it. Major update in the sense is this part here, this part. traditionally Red Hat has been going about 7.0 all the way to 9, and then from 7.9, then it will switch to 8, then it will be the entire new kernel starting from here. This one will be 4 and whatever the release and all that. Alright, so let's install only the kernel. So what you do is yum install kernel. That's it. -y, you could do -y and hit enter. You don't have to push y later. So it's going on to the internet, checking stuff. Okay, it told you that it's going to install that version, so that's what it's doing now. Okay, still installing. We'll give it a time. Okay, it's done. Okay, so now it will need a restart here. Okay, I'm gonna do restart. The system is gonna be rebooting, and then we'll should see the kernel there. Still waiting to load. Okay, I'm back into the system. And if I do host name, not host name CTO. Alright, so the new kernel is updated now. Or you do uname -r. Okay, that is it for all the updates and everything.